Hi everybody, my name is Maria Fuentes. I'm 28 years old. I live in Cajica. I work as an English teacher at the Gimnasio Alemán Friedrich von Schiller. I'm a musician, I'm a photographer. I love everything that has to do with society, culture, arts. That's pretty much me. About my English learning experience, I have to talk about Colombian education, and it has to do with private schools and public schools. So I always was at private schools because my parents were always really concerned about me learning another language. At the beginning, I didn't really see that I was learning another language, but when I went out from school and I had to begin using it, I realized that I really had good basis. All the grammar that they gave me at school and the little vocabulary I had was very good. I didn't have tons of vocabulary, but the bases were okay. So whenever I began speaking and actually using the language, I began getting more vocabulary and improving it. I still have tons of things to learn, but I think whenever you get a good basis, then you are going to be very good at communicating in another language. So the other thing I had to talk was about skills. What skill is more important than the other one? I don't think skills are more important than the other one. I think that each skill is very important for you to really be able of walking on the language. It's like if you don't have good grammar, you're not going to be able of understanding some cultural stuff. If you don't have good vocabulary, if you don't listen well, you're not going to be able of pronouncing. I mean, everything is connected, so I think you should do all together. Another thing is whenever you write and you see your mistakes on the paper, so it makes you realize I don't do that ever again, yeah? So I think the skills are all important. The question I chose is, what is first language, second language, and foreign language? So for what I was reading in the first unit, the first language is the language we acquire where we are born. Our mother spoke Spanish, our father spoke Spanish to us, so we speak Spanish. That's the language we acquire. We listen to it when we're babies and we just acquire it. The second language is the language we learn with the time, whenever we choose to learn one language. And in the case of Colombia, the second language is English because the Colombian Ministry of Education says that the second language should be English because of this globalized culture where all the business are done in English. Like in every country, you should speak English. So for our case, the second language is English. Is the language we learn at school. And there are then the foreign languages for me would be, in this case, all the other languages we decide to acquire, to learn with the time. For what has to be with first and second language, I think first is the one we acquired, the second is the one we learned, but we really have to feel comfortable using it. So it would be not really native, but we should understand cultural stuff about it. We should have lots of vocabulary. And about the foreign languages, would be languages that we don't use that much in our context, maybe, but we still learn them. So in my case, I speak Spanish, English, and German. German was actually my second language at the time I began learning it, because I used it the most and I understood the grammar better and all that stuff. But with the time I began being an English teacher, so I began using more my English, understanding better the grammar, and forgetting my German. So for me,